Welcome to episode number 700 of the eBlog Talk podcast. It is so surreal that we are celebrating the 700th episode. Thinking back to episode 1, I always knew we would record many episodes on this podcast because I just knew that it was a project that was meant to be in this space, but it does feel very surreal that we are actually here now. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for being the most awesome listeners on the planet. I could not continue doing this without all of your love and support. And inside of this interview, to commemorate 700, I brought part of my team together to answer some questions that you listeners provided for us to answer. Some of these are food blogging related. Some of them are more fun. We had a really fun time with it, just doing a discussion between Dan, Katerina, Taryn, and myself. And the last thing I want to say is I just want to reiterate the why here for eBlog Talk. Why is eBlog Talk here? I started eBlog Talk in 2019 because I wanted to create a safe space for food bloggers to come where they felt understood and heard and loved, and like none of their questions were stupid. eBlog Talk has turned into much more than just a podcast. It is now a community of like-minded people who really have the same values and beliefs and very similar drives to just achieve goals. Over the years, my food blog has allowed me to achieve this time freedom that has been just so cool and so important to me in spending time with my family and doing the things that I want to do. So it is my mission to help as many women and men achieve that same time freedom, whatever that looks like for you. If you want to quit your job and be at home with your kids, or if you want to retire a spouse, or if you want to live abroad for 6 months, whatever time freedom is for you, I want that for you. And I really hope that eBlog Talk can help accelerate your journey to achieve that. Thank you for being here. I truly appreciate you. And I'm so excited for you to listen to episode number 700. I really hope you enjoy this. So we have 3 members, well, 4, including myself, from the eBlog Talk team here today. We're missing a couple people, but we thought it would be really fun to put a collaborative episode together where we answer some questions. So we sent out a few prompts to eBlog Talk listeners just asking for questions that they would want answered in this episode. And then we threw in some random fun stuff in there as well. So we're just going to, answer some fun questions today and hopefully inform and entertain. So to start, we can just go around really quickly and introduce ourselves. So if you are just tuning in, I'm Megan. I am the founder of eBlog Talk, and I'm also the podcast host here at eBlog Talk. And then, we can go around and the rest of you can introduce yourselves.
So I'm Katerina. I produce the podcast, so that's editing the audio and the video, and I create Megan's Instagram Reels and the YouTube videos.
Dan?
I'm Dan. I work with sponsors and also help out on retreats, and I'm married to Megan.
And you also help out with Pip and Ebby stuff too, but I guess that's not eBlog Talk. Okay, thank you. Taryn, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Taryn Foley, and I am the community manager for eBlog Talk, which includes kind of heading up the accountability group. I also help run the mini minds, and I dip into the masterminds a little bit too, just to lend a voice there.
Yay! You guys are all vital. You play vital roles at eBlog Talk. And I was going to say, I have this question all the time from people who are like, Megan, how do you do everything? How do you run eBlog Talk and your blog and whatever, Flavor Media? And I'm like, honestly, because of you guys, eBlog Talk would not be what it is without you guys. So all of the credit goes to you. You are amazing. Thank you for being part of my awesome team. So on that note, let's turn to the questions. The first question is a roundtable question. So we'll just go around and answer this. This is kind of a fun one. So the question is, what is your current favorite podcast, book, or YouTube channel? And my answer is, I love this book. I just read it recently and it was so mind-blowingly inspiring. It's called The Creative Act, A Way of Being by Rick Rubin. And I think every creative individual, so everyone listening, should read it. It's such a beautiful work of art, honestly. And it's like, I want to go back and reread every word. It's amazing. So, Taryn, what is your current favorite?
I'm assuming we're excluding this podcast because otherwise everyone's just going to be like, well, Eat Blog Talk, of course.
Yes, excluding Eat Blog Talk.
So I don't watch a ton of YouTube channels. I read, but not normally business books. It's kind of like my escape from business. So I'm going to go with a podcast, and I've been dipping my toe back into Instagram. And I've been finding Shannon McKinstry's podcast, Good Content, all about Instagram, really helpful. They're very short episodes. They're like, 10 to 13 minutes, real bite-sized chunks. And she gives out a lot of good information. So that'd be my answer.
So what's the name of the podcast? Is it just Shannon?
Yeah, the podcast is called Good Content. And okay. Her name is Shannon McKinstry. I think it's McKinstrie. I think is how she spells it. And she's got like an Instagram. I mean, she's big on Instagram, and has a lot of really good free content that I found helpful. I know others in the Blog Talk community have found helpful as well. So it's a great resource.
Awesome. Dan, what about you?
I tend to bounce around quite a bit based on the topic, but recently I've been listening to a fair amount of the Diary of a CEO podcast. One of the things I've been interested about is speaking and presentation, and recently he's had a few guests on body language, how to talk, and one of them most recently was Jefferson Fisher, and I actually grabbed his book just on conversing and dialoguing better, and that was interesting to me, so I've been enjoying that one. Cool.
And what about you, Katerina?
I used to listen to the Diary of a CEO, not anymore though. But yeah, it's I've switched to a podcast called Modern Wisdom. For me, I watch a lot of YouTube and I listen to a lot of podcasts, being a podcast producer, but I was pleasantly surprised by Modern Wisdom. It's by someone called Chris Williamson. I think it's fairly popular, and he does really good episodes that just sort of uncovers being human in a modern world. And it's kind of like mindset episodes.
Well, if it's mindset related, I'll love it. So I wrote it down. I'm going to check it out. Thank you. And then from here, I think we'll just kind of bounce around. We have questions to ask each other just to make it a little more fun. So I think, Dan, you are up with a question.
This is for Megan and Taryn. How do you monetize beyond just ads?
This is a very big question. And this is something that a listener sent in. And I know, I think it's a she said that, yeah, she was dabbling in ebooks and e-courses and live classes, but nothing has really moved the needle for her. So she was also thinking about reaching out to brands. And yeah, I think all of those things are good options. Okay, first of all, I have to say, you definitely should be thinking about monetizing beyond ads if you're a food blogger right now, because it's just a really scary time to only rely on ads. And that is for the biggest of bloggers as well. So think about it. But I'll see what you think, Taryn, but I would say just pick one or two things outside of ads and focus on them, because it's really hard to monetize when you're focused on like 5 different things. Trying to do the ebooks and the courses and the live classes and the sponsorships is not going to be very fruitful. So what are you passionate about? What has maybe worked in the past? What have you seen money come in from in the past? And then build on that to start. Taryn, I would love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think focusing on one thing is you can't spread yourself out too much. You have to direct your attention. I think the thing I would add to that is you have to stick with it for a while. Not everybody, there's certain things that are like kind of flash in the pans that come up really fast, but they also tend to fade fast. So I think that the things that are going to really diversify your business are things that are going to probably be slower to build. So I know this person mentioned that they had ebooks and live classes and all that sort of thing. How long were you trying those things for? And also pay attention to what your audience is asking you, and really try and hone in on the pain points that they're telling you they have and how you can address those, not just with your blog, but with something else. I think that's an opportunity to look for other ways to diversify your income.
Yes, that is a really good point. Paying attention to what people are actually wanting from you. If they don't want a course, then don't build an entire course. So it's being very focused, being very intentional with it. But you can do it. Oh gosh, there are so many ways that people are monetizing beyond ads right now. So just pick your thing and, like Taryn said, stick with it for the marathon. It's not a sprint. Okay, next question is for Taryn. Taryn, how do you recommend people successfully niche down? And there was a specific question about this, so I'm hoping you can give her some insights.
So I think, the simple answer is you just go for it. You have to decide what niche you want, and then, start creating content around that niche. I think, to be successful at it, I think like so many things in our industry, there's two things that you need to do. You have to be consistent and you have to give it time. So especially when you're talking about blog posts, I think it's rare for people to succeed right away. Some people do. Some people hit like a trend and it just hits right at the right time and they're able to like put a ton of time and effort behind it and they're able to take off quickly. But that's the exception, not the rule from what I've seen. So I think you really just have to, get very clear on your niche and start producing content within that niche and not get distracted by all the little like squirrel things that it's like, oh, but what about this recipe? This sounds fun. And this, this over here, this person's doing this. Like you got to put your blinders on and just stay consistent within your niche. That's how I started to see success finally and start to grow, was when I really, focused in on my niche and really stopped paying attention to, what other people were doing. Not totally, but really just focused on, my own content.
And what if somebody doesn't know where to go when they're like, they know they need to niche down because things just aren't working, but they don't really know where to start with it?
I think there's a number of different things you can do. I think you can, what excites you, right? What are you going to want to be doing? Because I'm assuming people who are doing this are going to want to be doing this for years upon years, hopefully, right? So what excites you? What feels good to you? What do you want to be working on? Because if you don't like it, then you're probably not going to want to do it for a very long time. But also, if you have a bunch of content already on your site, what is already doing well? And maybe that's another way to see, Google's already giving you some authority on maybe a certain, genre of recipes, then that's something to explore too. And also, back to the first question, but what does your audience want, right? Not that you can't change, not that you can't, if your audience loves baking and you want to be a slow cooker person, you can do that. That's fine. Just know that you're going to have to probably build a new audience or grow a different audience. But there's all sorts of different avenues that somebody can explore to see what niche they want to go after.
Great answer. Thank you, Taryn. And I'll pass the mic over to you.
So the next question for Megan is someone asked, how do I future-proof my blog in light of AI and with the shift of Google being for quote unquote old people, which is hilarious to me. And I know AI is a big topic. So curious to hear what you have to say, Megan.
Well, I think there are two questions here. So Google being for old people, which is super funny. I don't know if Google's for old people, but I think some people think it's maybe phasing out in the blogger world. So future-proofing your blog for that, I think just make sure you're on multiple platforms and you're not just relying on organic Google traffic anymore. For a long time, we were solely doing that. I think you should definitely be on Pinterest and putting effort and maybe even investing in Pinterest for sure. If you are a food blogger, do not let Pinterest go. You've got to focus on that. So I think that is a great way to future proof. Also, YouTube is a great avenue for just making sure you're diversified. You could monetize through YouTube. You could focus on social media and Instagram. I don't think you should do all of those options because you're spreading yourself too thin. But I think pick a few different sources of traffic and focus on them and just really give them your attention. And then with the AI question, I mean, I feel like that's kind of out of our hands. There's not really a whole lot we can do with that. I just look at it as AI is more a helper in our businesses instead of an enemy. And I just try to use it to streamline my business and to make things easier. And I know that some people are worried about the AI features that show up, the snippets that show up in Google searches, and that they're worried that that's going to take away from blog traffic. Kind of out of our hands. So I would just say, try not to worry about AI too much. Just roll with it and get the most out of it that you can.
Yeah, I think what I'm kind of taking from what you just said is it's diversification, which I think is kind of the answer to a lot of different questions. But diversification and worry about the things that you can control.
And not just diversification, but intentional diversification. Because there was one point in my journey where I was like, I have to diversify. And then I had 8 streams of income coming in, but it was $30 here and $150 there. And that doesn't really add up. So be super intentional with your diversification, but definitely diversify.
Yes.
And then I think Kat has a question next.
Yes, so my question is for Dan, and it is, what are the struggles as well as the good things that come from working with Megan?
First of all, I don't think this is very fair. I'm pretty sure Megan added this question in there just out of her own curiosity. But I'll answer it. And my answer is actually the same for both. One of the good things about working with Megan is it's pretty fun. She's bold, she's decisive, and it's fun to think about new ideas and then go for it. And one of the struggles is she's very bold, she's very decisive. Sometimes I want to talk a little more and discuss things longer than she does, and she's just ready to pull the trigger. So it's kind of fun balancing those out. It's also good that she's downstairs in case I want to kiss her.
Okay, we're not getting dirty here. Responses, Kat.
No, it's very interesting because obviously I only get the very calculated side of Megan. By the time she gives me an answer, it's always very well thought out. So that's an interesting perspective.
Yeah, it's a huge difference between me and Dan. Dan is very okay, we have to think this out and let's make a strategy or plan. And I'm like, no, we're doing this. What are you talking about? So it can be a point of contention almost, but yeah, we know each other well enough that it's just okay, this is how he thinks and this is how I think.
I think by the time I speak to Megan, she's probably already spoken to you, Dan. So that's why it always seems toned down.
Oh, that's funny. Good answer, though. And then the next question is for all of us, just going around and answering this question. What are your goals for 2025? I could create a whole another episode for this, but I'll condense this into 30 seconds. My goals for 2025 So my theme of the year, every year I have kind of a word or a theme that dictates all the goals I set for my business and my life. And my theme that I just felt calling to me at the beginning of the year was experience. I just felt like I needed to fully experience the year, both in business and outside of work. So everything I set aligns with that. So my goals are really experiencing Flavor Media Summit, which is coming up, and enjoying it and not being stressed like I was last year. Really experiencing every moment of my family time and vacations. And that applies literally to everything I do in work. I just want to experience it all, even if it's a struggle. So I am just really focused on that this year. That's kind of my broad answer. I would love to hear what yours are, Kat.
I'm the same. I've got so many goals. Actually, so one of the things I've already accomplished is getting ahead with Eat Blog Talk episodes. So like Megan and I are in a really good groove. But on the other side, more on the food blogging side, and Megan's probably going to, I don't know, laugh or roll her eyes because I've been saying this for like, I don't know, 3 years or something. I'm going to start a food blog. But I'm probably going to start off more with like just food content creation, if I put it that way, on Instagram, because it's a platform I'm more familiar with, and see how that goes. And from there, I can decide if I really want to start a food blog.
And yes, I'm super excited for you on this because I think you'll crush it. Do you have a goal date in mind, or is it just any time this year?
According to my document, it was already, it had to start already like in April or March or something. But yeah, life happens. So now I've probably given myself at least until halfway through the year just to get content created, filming, just like sorting things out, editing, just to take the pressure off, like kind of just find my feet in the first year, like from June, July onwards, and then see what I want to do from there.
I'm super excited
it's
for you.
It's happening, Megan.
It is happening. I know it will. It's in the works, so can't wait for that. Dan, what are your goals for 2025?
I am curious to learn more about the whole podcasting side of things. So that's kind of also why I'm interested in communication, improving how I do that and learning effective ways to do that. For Eat Blog Talk, I'm interested in making the retreats more efficient. I think in-person events are hugely important. I'm a huge fan of working with people, and so I am excited to kind of explore that area. And then in general, I'd like to find a few new sponsors for Eat Blog Talk.
Awesome. Great goals.
That's about it.
Yeah, we've been working on our communication together behind the scenes. We've been going to Toastmasters together and doing speeches and working on those filler words that we're not supposed to say. We've both greatly improved this year, I think. So good job. Dan's been awesome in like keeping us on track with that.
I was just going to compliment Dan, saying like, I've just thought he speaks so well and like everything's so well thought out. So yeah, it definitely, I can tell.
That's amazing. I bet that makes him feel great because yeah, he's been working on it. Taryn, what are your goals for 2025?
I'll share mine in a sec, but I have done Toastmasters. It's very hard. It was a long time ago, and obviously I didn't learn much from it because I still use all the filler words and all those sorts of things. But I'm very impressed that you guys are going because it's not easy. It's not easy. But my goals. So my goals, one like general goal I have is just to be very consistent, to continue with my consistency, because that's where I've noticed success. It took me a long time to learn that. And the other goal is very specific, which is to get to 200,000 monthly page views by the end of this year, which it's taken me a long time to get there. I had a lot of really slow growth because I just didn't know what I was doing for years and years and years. And so now I finally feel like I'm on track to hit that number by the end of 2025.
You are going to get it. You're going to crush it. I know you are. And you can tell from my perspective, Taryn, that you're putting like the heart into it. I can see it from your blog and your platforms and everything. So that carries over.
Well, thanks. I'll take that compliment.
Yeah. And I meant to mention this in the beginning, but if you're listening to the podcast, come over to YouTube and watch us, because you can see us in action there. We're all like, our faces are here and we're live and real. That would be fun to generate some engagement in the comments too. And Dan, I believe you have a question.
Yes, Megan, I do. Are process shots still a benefit to readers? And does Google still like those process shots?
I think instead of saying, does Google still like process shots, we should say, does the user still like process shots? And the answer to that is yes. For the people who do not jump to recipe, when they come to your blog, they scroll. Some people still scroll and they want to read all the valuable information. And for some people, process shots are really helpful. We're actually, Dan and I together, we've been going through some of my old blog content and updating, and that entails taking process shots that are missing, because I believe people are still finding value in that. So if you can do it, I find them really easy to do. I just do it with my phone. I don't use my camera even, and just quickly edit them. So my opinion is yes on that.
You know what I do, Megan? I started doing, because I'm now going on Instagram more and creating video, is I just take screenshots of my video.
Yeah, that's great.
Like I record with my phone and I take screenshots, and I use those as my process shots, because otherwise I don't want to go back and forth between my cameras. I do take my final shots with the DSLR, but my process shots are just all screenshots.
I think whatever you can do to make it easy like that, do it. Just get them up. People don't care if they're highly curated. I mean, it's beautiful. It doesn't really matter. Just kind of get the basics in there. So yeah, I love that you do that, Taryn. And another question for you, Taryn. This came from a listener as well. How do you grow Facebook and Instagram without reels or videos?
I don't know if I'm the best person to answer this question, because I am just trying to get back into Instagram myself. I feel like Kat might be a better person to answer this. But what I have heard from, mostly honestly from the Good Content podcast and Jenna McKinstry, is really focus on building a community on those platforms, particularly Instagram. I think is probably lends itself better to that. And I think it's going to be hard, if I'm being honest, maybe not without reels, but without video. I think that's going to be hard, because I think the one way to, if you don't want to do reels, then stories, I think, is the next best option. I know that there are people who have a lot of success with letting their audience into their lives through stories. But a lot of that is with video. So I don't know if anyone else has opinions on this, please jump in, because I feel like I'm not the best person to answer this question.
Well, I mean, it's a really hard question to answer, right? But yeah, I'd be curious to see what you think, Katerina.
So I would probably say that your best bet is to go with Facebook and to do a group. That's probably going to be the easiest if you don't want to use any video or reels. Instagram's algorithm is highly dependent on videos at the moment, so that's going to be tough unless you can pull an audience from another platform or from your email list onto Instagram. But one possibility for that would be to make use of things like a carousel. But even there, without any videos or reels, it's going to be tough. I would go with Facebook if you just don't want to do video.
And if you are avoiding the highly curated video, do a super simple, like what Taryn and I were just talking about with the process shots. You do not have to be highly curated anymore, thankfully. You can take a video while you're cooking dinner with your phone and create an amazing viral reel out of that. So don't be overwhelmed by the process and just do what works for you. And I agree. I think video is so important right now. So it would it would be like a salmon swimming upstream. You just like go with the flow, create video on your level and publish.
And I think, can I interject really fast?
Yeah.
Because I'm having to, I'm in the process of kind of learning to remember to take video, right? Because I think that for me, that's been one of the tricks of having to like get in the swing of things. And, like I think probably most people have heard of this, and I'm sure Katerina, you can talk endlessly about this, but like, there's A-roll and B-roll, right? And A-roll is what you're actually like, you're showing somebody how to make a recipe, but B-roll could be just you emptying the dishwasher or cleaning a pan or like doing something that's not specifically related, or just like panning a landscape if you're like a travel photographer or something. And so I've been trying to get better about taking a lot of B-roll. Just, I have I have something that holds my Kindle so I can read it in bed and keep my arms under my covers. And I use that as a stand for my iPhone. And I just like prop it up like in my kitchen or on the deck and, show me like opening the grill or, turning the propane on or whatever, because I do a lot of grilling. So I think that's one of the biggest hurdles that I've had is just remembering to video myself and what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Okay, Taryn, I think we're on to you. You have a question for Kat.
Yes, I'm curious, Kat, what YouTube trends are you seeing right now? Because I know you're kind of tuned in there.
But first of all, I'm not an expert on YouTube. I'm more into like Instagram and TikTok when it was a thing. So YouTube, however, what I have seen is obviously you've got the shorts and the long form content. And there is, if somebody wants to grow on YouTube, they shouldn't get pulled into just going for shorts, thinking that it's kind of like TikTok or like Instagram and it's going to have the same effect, because you can grow with shorts, but then it's very difficult to go any monetization route, or at least that's what I've heard, because long form is where you can, get all the YouTube goodies. I'm like I say, I don't know all the details, but what you would want to focus on is long form, and then use your short form to direct people to your long form content, if that makes sense. But don't go in or on short form only. YouTube's more a long form platform. Anyway.
So I have a question. Yeah. I don't know if you know the answer or if anyone else does. So, because I personally don't create long form content. I know there's a lot of people who don't create long form content. If people are creating short form content, do you think that would be beneficial to upload as YouTube shorts, even though they might not have long form content?
I don't know. I don't know if that's maybe just I'm spreading yourself thin, yes. And there is also the philosophy that, okay, well, you need to put yourself on all the platforms. Like, why not? If you have a reel, why don't you just...
Right, because it's repurposing, right? Because if they're already putting like a reel on TikTok or Instagram, go ahead.
Yeah, the only problem is just like, what are you expecting in return? Like, what exactly do you want from that video going out on YouTube and maybe generating 10 views? Maybe it generates 100, maybe 1,000. But what are you expecting from that? Like, how is it going to contribute? And wouldn't it just be better not to think about it? Because it's also it's also headspace. Like, you need to decide what you want to focus on. But then just to maybe wrap up on the YouTube. So you said like people don't want to create the long form content. And this is interesting because YouTube's actually like now becoming more like a television in a sense. So it's watched more regularly than Netflix. So people are tuning in to YouTube as if it's their television. I hope that makes sense. So they're actually expecting like 20 minutes of content, and even part 1, part 2, part 3. Yeah, so it's interesting because it really is geared towards that. But I have also, the flip side is you can create shorter form, long form content. So meaning under 10 minutes. And then just also 2 more aspects that I think is quite important at the moment for YouTube is that what's doing well is hyper niche topics, but I think that's kind of everywhere. like blogging, Instagram. It's not like new. And then also, and this is interesting, so say you're a food blogger and you want to grow your YouTube, it's now becoming more popular to do a broader personal content. So say you're showing a recipe, but making it like a vlog, like bringing people into your kitchen and speaking to them as if they're like really there, like they're friends, and showing a lot of your personality. Yeah, so those are the broad trends that I've seen in YouTube. I don't know if anyone's noticed anything.
No, that's so interesting to think about it like TV. And I just like quick anecdote, like my kids, they watch YouTube. I have two 11-year-olds and they watch YouTube. Like that's what they watch is YouTube content. So that's so interesting. I don't know. Do your kids watch it, Megan and Dan?
Sammy watches roller coaster videos nonstop. So I don't know what the length is of those. I know there are some shorts that he watches, but I will often see him watching just like point of view videos of a roller coaster. I mean, a lot, not just once a day, but multiple times a day. And then here's a fun fact about Sammy. He finds calmness in the sound of a lift hill. So the sound of the chain, like going up the hill, the roller coaster going up to go down the drop. So whenever he needs to be calmed down, he'll turn on his lift hill YouTube video, which is hilarious.
I love that. Isn't that normally like the panic sound?
Yes, I know. Most people don't want to hear that sound, but that when he was in the hospital recently, he was super groggy after surgery, and he was like, Dad, find the lift hill video sound on YouTube. That was his first ask.
Kiddo.
We're like, oh my gosh.
But he knows. So, yeah. Like, good for him that he knows what is calling for him. That's really, a lot of people don't. So that's really great.
And thank you, YouTube, for delivering. So and Elijah watches YouTube as well, like Mr. Beast videos more of the longer form, I think.
Mm-hmm. Elijah watches a lot of Wii videos because he likes to cheat. Oh,
that's true.
So he finds the cheat codes. So don't play Elijah and Wii because he'll magically make all the balloons pop on the Frisbee game. Some weird trick.
He schools everyone who comes over. He's like, do you want to play the Wii with me? Just like in a kind of like, I just occasionally play it. I'm not very good. So he lures people down to our basement and then he just totally crushes them because YouTube gives him all the codes, all the cheat codes.
He's a
and
Wii
he
shark.
never tells anybody. He's a Wii shark. And they're like, wow, you're really good. And he's like, oh yeah, I know.
Oh, I love it.
Okay, let's do a fun roundtable chat or question here. Do you have any daily rituals or routines that you swear by? And I'll go last. Taryn.
I think really, I have a lot of little things that I try and do daily, but one of my big ones that I've been doing for several years is I try and get 10,000 steps a day because, I'm a lot of the times I'm sitting at my computer every day, as I think a lot of food bloggers are. And, I just feel better when I move my body. So, I have a tracker on. I recently got I'm coming up to like the times. I finally have an Apple Watch. So I, just track my steps and, really just try and stay on top of that.
Awesome. I love that one. That's solid. Dan, what about you?
Well, I have kind of a nerdy little checklist. I don't actually check it off every day, but I like to get up and on a good day, I will stretch. Then I will read or listen to something. Then I will do a meditation. And I have I don't do this every day, but I try to send a lighthearted, friendly text to someone random just to kind of brighten their day. And then, of course, I like to work out. And that's it.
I didn't know you did the random text thing. I love that. That's awesome. What about you, Kat? What are some of your daily rituals or routines?
So probably the most routine thing I do is the first thing in the morning, something physical, normally working out, normally going to the gym. But yeah, that's very routine. my philosophy on that is just simply, if I'm not healthy later on in life, I can't enjoy anything. So that's priority. I need to get that done first thing.
I love that too. And I'll round out this question by answering. And yes, I have kind of the same routines that you guys do, just starting my day off with something physical, usually a hard workout. I also try to do the 10,000 steps a day, Taryn, like you, and something to expand my mindset every single day. And I usually do that right away in the morning, as well as reviewing my goals for the year. I have a document that I started in January, and I look at it every day and I refine them every day and tweak them. And those are my main routines. I believe Kat has a question for me and Taryn.
Yeah. So my question, well, it's not my question, it's one of the listeners' questions, is how many posts per week should I add to my blog to gain the most traffic?
What are your thoughts, Megan?
Oh, yeah. Also a question that there's really no answer to that because it's so different for everyone. I think for some people it's 1, for some people it's 5. It just depends on how much content you have, how much you're able to produce without burning out. Also, how much old content you have. So always consider, even if you only have 100 posts, you should be going back and republishing your old content. So adding that to the mix. But I don't really feel like there's an answer for this. If I had to say an average from what I hear working, I would say anywhere from 2 to 4 a week is really, really good.
Yeah, I agree. I think I would say probably anywhere from like 1 to 4. Just it's really whatever you can be consistent with. I think consistency is the key for a lot of things in this industry, or almost everything really. And so it's really whatever you can be consistent with, and also, what you were saying about what you can do without burning out. Not all of them, but I think probably a lot of the people who are posting 3, 4, 5 times a week, they have teams. So if you are a single person doing it on your own and you start to feel bad that you are not posting 4 times a week, please don't. Because, what is that phrase? Don't compare your year 1 to someone else's year 10. Don't compare what you're doing by yourself to somebody else who has a whole team helping them and hires out all this stuff. Like, it's not the same. And, you have to grow at your own pace.
Yeah, good answer. Taryn, I think you have a question for me.
Yeah, for you. So, and speaking of consistency, how do you stay consistent with blogging amidst all the challenges? How do you recommend other people do that too?
First, I would say tune out some of the stuff. You don't need to be in the loop with everything, because if you are, you will get so overwhelmed and bogged down with worry and just that dreaded overwhelm. So take in as much of the quote bad stuff a limited amount of that bad stuff as you can, just enough to stay informed. So that's number 1. As far as staying consistent, don't take on too much. Like we were saying earlier, when you go to diversify, don't choose 9 streams of revenue or 9 platforms to focus on. Pick a few that you're going to focus on and just keep your blinders on, because as you know, in this industry, there's so much opportunity to get distracted. So pick your things, stay with them. And also self-care and just taking care of yourself is really important right now, especially because there is so much going on. First and foremost, I think put that in your calendar. How are you going to take care of yourself every day? Are you going to work out? Are you going to focus on mindset? Are you going to meditate? All of the above. Do that first, and then add in the things that you need to do for your business.
Yeah, I think that's great. I agree with everything you said.
Yay. All right, Dan, over to you.
Yeah, Dan. No, I was going to throw it to Dan as well. So Dan, go ahead and pick it up.
Yeah.
All right. This is for Megan and Taryn. We had a listener ask about Pinterest. Even I know that is a challenge just from hearing on the sidelines. They are not sure what's going on or how to solve it. So why is Pinterest so volatile?
Pinterest is having a moment right now. I think with all of the AI images that are coming onto the scene, it's been really challenging for them to sort through all of that garbage from what I've heard. So things are all over the place. If I look at my Pinterest analytics, it's like, whoa, what is happening? Because some days it's really good, some days it's bad. It'll trend up and then it'll trend down. And I think a lot of people are seeing this. A lot of people saw pretty drastic drops in their Pinterest traffic between the first of the year and now, and they have the same question, like, what is going on? And from what I've heard from Pinterest experts, it's having a moment. It's making changes behind the scenes. So stick with the strategy, don't abandon it, and just be patient with Pinterest. Like I said earlier, do not jump ship. You've got to stick with Pinterest if you're a food blogger. Taryn, I would love to hear what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think I'm in a couple of different groups for, that focus on Pinterest, and with Pinterest experts leading them. And it's the same, they're all saying the same thing. It's just a lot of AI stuff that's happening that Pinterest is trying to figure out. And there's just kind of a lot of volatility. I'll say, I've had this happen before. I think I was in one of your early masterminds, Megan, when I had a really hard Pinterest drop and I was feeling so low about it. And you were like, don't give up, don't give up. And I didn't, and I'm still on it. I'm not posting as consistently as I should be, but, or as I'd like to be. But, I agree. I think you just can't give up on Pinterest, and you kind of have to write, like, remember idea pins? Like everyone kind of rode that train for a while. And now it's essentially gone. So, I think Pinterest just has to figure things out on your own, and you got to kind of ride the wave.
Yes. Great advice. I think see Pinterest as your friend, no matter what. It's like when you have a friendship and things get rocky at times, you always come back together. I've always seen Pinterest as my friend, and it has delivered a crap load of traffic to my blog over the years. So do not give up on it.
Yeah, right now Pinterest is like dating the guy you don't like, and you just got to kind of keep your mouth shut, like let it do its thing and figure it out on its own, and then it'll come back to you.
Oh, I love it. Great analogy. So we're going to take a turn and go to email. Taryn, this question is for you because you are my resident email expert.
Oh, gosh.
What are some good ideas for how to grow an email list right now?
There's so many things you can do. I do love email. I don't know why I love it so much. I really do. But for growing an email list, there's a lot. So of course there are, freebies that you can do. You can do with landing pages or pop-ups. There's, and I guess there's two different types of freebies, right? There's like a PDF freebie that you can do, or I know, Matt Mullen, who's an email expert, who is so helpful. He encourages people to do a quick start guide, which is essentially a freebie, but like in emails. And that can also be, I know a lot of people have a lot of success with that, or combining the two together. So there's that, and you can post those on your website, obviously, or in forms like on your pages. Some other ways are just getting out there. So doing podcasts. I know, Megan, you encourage a lot of people to go on podcasts and just kind of get their name out and offer freebies or just kind of products. Some other ways are, one way I have tried before, and I know some people have had a lot of success with, is doing what are called freebie swaps. So going to other food bloggers, it's easier to start with people that you know, but you can approach people that you don't know as well, too, and say, hey, can you introduce your audience to me and offer them this freebie? And then I'll do the same for my audience, and kind of swap that way to get more exposure. And with that, don't be afraid to approach people who may have larger lists than you do, or may be more established than you are, because they're, A, there's value in everybody. And B, also, if you're really feeling, iffy or weird about that, there's things that you can do besides just the freebie swap, where it's like, maybe you offer to pin some of their pins, or maybe you let your list know about this person twice and they let their list know about, you once. So there's different things that you can do if you feel like you need to kind of like make up some ground there. And then there's also summits. So I know some people do summits, will lead those, and that's usually those are in the food blogging industry, those are B2C or business to consumer. And it could be about Megan, you and I know somebody who does vegan. It runs a vegan blog, and there's like a huge, I think, a vegan or vegetarian summit. I know some people who do dinner summits, and where sometimes there's a presentation that everybody gives, and the summit is promoted to all the participants' lists. So it's all about exposure, really, is what I'm getting at. So I feel like I talked randomly. So hopefully that answers the question.
No, that was all really good. And then I'm curious if you use the quick start guide method, Taryn, to promote certain things?
I do. I've kind of started, I'm making my way into doing both a quick start and freebie like together, because I do think there's value in delivering something right away that people can download if they want, but then also continuing. It's essentially like the quick start guide is in that instance is essentially like a nurture sequence to kind of nurture people on your list after they're getting their freebie. But it's, I'm trying to kind of do both at once in a combined manner to really get solid people on my email list. So it's a work in progress.
Yeah, email is a big topic. And I think the reason you love it so much probably is because it's really important right now. That's definitely something you should be focusing on in addition to Google and Pinterest. So we could probably record an entirely different episode about this, but that was a good kind of succinct summary. So thank you, Taryn.
Yeah, of course. And so one area that I'm trying to grow is Instagram. And Kat, question for you, and I think this might be a listener question, is what can you think of, or can you share, or do you know of any effective strategies for creating viral reels?
Okay, so there are a lot of different strategies, and what's going to work for your account is going to be largely dependent on your audience. So first of all, you need to sort of dive into what it is your audience enjoys watching, what they would like to see more of, what they are likely to share with their friends and other people. And how you figure that out, every person's different, and it's mainly about experimenting. So I can just explain the general gist of how to go viral, but it's not necessarily going to work for you or someone else. But if you want to understand how virality happens, again, you also have to ask why. Why do you want a viral Instagram reel? Is it to get more followers? Is it to get a lot of views? And what are you going to get from that? Because there might be other ways to achieve it other than having a viral reel. But if you do really, really want to have that viral reel or whatever and get lots of followers suddenly from it, that's your goal, just think about creating a reel in the same way that it is like a slot machine. A lot of different people use this analogy because it's true. Instagram, social media, or at least the majority of the platforms, are created in the same way that slot machines are, in that it's meant to keep someone's attention, but it's meant to keep someone's attention with very, very short clips, a lot of bright colors, and a lot of movement. Because unfortunately, we have very short attention spans now, or at least on average, not every single person. And you can think of it maybe in a 6-second attention span, round about there. On average, it's shown that people can't pay attention to something for longer than 6 seconds, which is kind of sad. But yeah, so if you really want to crack the whole thing about going viral, shoot a reel. And it doesn't necessarily have to be complicated. There are other ways, like I say, but if you want to just use that avenue, is shoot a reel in a very short clips and with a lot of movement and a lot of interest and intrigue, music. And then there are other ways you can also get that by looking for trends, basically in your niche. What are trends that you see? And some of the trends can be very easy to create. For example, having sometimes there are these GIFs, sorry, you know what I mean. And then they would just put text over, and it's kind of funny. And you can do it that way as well. And because normally those are very, very short reels, your watch time gets like Instagram detects that people are watching the entire thing and they're rewatching it, and then it's pushing out to more people. And honestly, I can go on and on and on about different strategies. But I think just to kind of conclude this very complicated question of effective strategies for creating viral reels, I would say look at your audience, first of all, look at your niche, see what's working in your niche, and experiment until you see something is really getting more views than your other content. And then expand on that, do more of it, and then tweak your strategy. And to finish off, don't focus on just getting that viral reel, because everything else after that might not be what you expect. So maybe just focus on actually serving your audience first.
That's great. I think that is always serving your audience, right? Megan, I know you're big on that. That's what we all want to do, right?
Yeah, that was a great answer. Thank you. And I just have to give you a little shout out, Kat, because you are so awesome with the eBlog Talk Reels. If you're listening and you have been following eBlog Talk on Instagram and you see these amazing reels pop up in your feed, it's all Katarina. She is the creative genius behind all of those. Every time I see a new one, I'm like, wow, that was so good. And I feel like you get better with each one too. Like you add some little element or touch that just makes each one so awesome and creative.
Thank you.
So thank you. And yeah. And we have just a couple questions left. We're going to end with a roundtable question, and then Dan has one final question to round out the episode. The next question is for all of us. What is something you believed 5 years ago that you definitely don't believe anymore? Dan, what's your answer?
5 years ago, I believed that I would never be able to leave my job, not in terms of technically, but just because it would be too hard because I liked it and what I was doing. And that's no longer true because I did. So that's my belief that changed.
And it was a process, but you were here. Awesome. Taryn, what about you?
I would say I was very doubtful that I was going to be able to earn a consistent income from just my blog, right? Like I had other things that I did, services I provided. You know, I did photography for a while for other food bloggers, and I did some other things. And I was like, gosh, when am I going to be able to really, you know, earn at the very least a part-time income from my blog. And I feel like I'm finally there, which has been really nice. So.
Yay. So happy for you. That's awesome. And Katarina, what about you?
So 5 years ago, I believe that I had to have everything laid out to know exactly what I wanted to achieve at what time, like down to 1 month plan, 1 year plan, 5 year plans, 10-year plans. But now I've changed my thought around that. And sometimes your path is going to change. And if you're so set on that, I'm going to achieve this by that time, you might miss other opportunities that come by, and just have the flexibility to also shift and change.
Great answer too. And my answer would be, so 5 years ago was COVID-ish, right? Right before COVID was when I was still in massive hustle mode. I believed that I couldn't do anything without hustling constantly. And the silver lining of COVID for me was that I actually learned that I couldn't keep functioning that way and that I needed to slow down and give myself a little break, not just once in a while, but every single day. So yeah, I went from believing that hustle needed to happen all the time to kind of the opposite of that. I feel like the more I slow down and take care of myself now, the more productive I can be. So that is my answer. And Dan, you have the last question of the episode.
I do. This is for you, Megan. How will Eat Blog Talk continue to serve food bloggers?
Well, obviously the podcast, but if you're listening, you already know that. We are now serving up YouTube videos thanks to Katarina and her awesome production. So if you're not over on YouTube, go over there. You can see all of the episodes live. You can see us interacting. It's really fun. Aside from that, Dan mentioned earlier the in-person retreats, how important those are and how much people are just loving those, including myself. And Dan gets involved too. They're so much fun. We bring in a chef who is a friend of ours, and he just creates this atmosphere of fun and the most delicious food on the planet. Those retreats are gold. We will continue those. The mastermind we do every year, applications for 2026 open in August. Well, you can fill out an application now, but we will start responding to those in August. So get in on that. We're also running a mini minds program in 2026. I'm going to let Taryn talk about the mini minds and the accountability group really quick.
Yeah, so I'll start with the accountability group, which is kind of the lowest level offer, lowest cost commitment offer for Eat Blog Talk, but it's a wonderful community. We have a Slack channel that we share where people share lots of ideas and ask questions. And we do monthly calls with Megan over Zoom, just again, where anyone can ask questions. It's a group think sort of atmosphere, as well as twice weekly focus calls where we just all come together and work and get things done in a focused manner. So I love the accountability group. It's a great group of gals there. And then the mini minds is a shortened version of the mastermind, essentially. And it's meant to be again a kind of a midpoint between the accountability group and the mastermind. And it changes a little bit every time we do it. Sometimes we do it for 6 months. Sometimes we keep it a little longer. Sometimes we do it we meet twice a month. But again, it's just supposed to be a group to rely on and help each other grow.
Yes. Thank you, Taryn. Any last words? Thank you guys so much for doing this episode. I'm so excited for 700. I can't believe it's already here. And again, thank you all for being the best team ever.
And congrats to Megan, because this is a big 700 is a big deal. And even though I have not much right to be, I'm really proud of you.
Oh, thanks, Taryn.
Yeah, I can't believe 700 episodes. It's like unbelievable. I think I started producing episodes around 300 and something. So, wow.
Wow. That's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you say, consistency.
Oh, go ahead. Kat, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say this was really fun. It was just like having a chat with seeing you for a change, not just over Slack. Go on.
I know.
Go ahead, Dad.
Yeah.
No, I was just going to say it's impressive to watch Megan do these too. Taryn, you mentioned the consistency that's needed, and that's one of Megan's superpowers. I think when she gets her mind set on something, it's going to happen. So it's been fun to watch.
Don't ever give up. You're probably like, come on, give up on something. No. Yeah, thank you guys again. And thanks everyone for listening. I hope you got some value and entertainment out of this episode.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this topic, be sure to watch the video shown on the screen. See you next time.